The football team's weekend plans were wrecked by Hurricane Irma. Their game against Midwestern State was canceled. Same with women's soccer's home matches. Away events still went on as scheduled, with volleyball earning head coach Melissa Wolter her 350th career win at the Colorado Premier Challenge in Denver. She talks about it this week on the show. Plus, Pete Shinnick talks scheduling shakeups and Chowan this week on the Coach Shinnick Show on the UWF Sports Network. Welcome in. It's week 3 of the Coach Shinnick Show. Normally we'd have some football to talk about. This week we have a hurricane to talk about. No football with Coach Shinnick. I'm Tommy Thrall. Coach, kind of an odd set of circumstances there with Hurricane Irma certainly battering a better part of the state. Now it seems like we weren't affected over here, but because of its effects everywhere, the whole state ended up kind of being affected by it. You guys didn't find out till late in the week that the game wasn't going to happen. So what do you do with your team in a situation like that?
Yeah, it's a unique situation because you're planning to play a football game, and really didn't get the call from our athletic director, Dave Scott, until about 9:45, 10 o'clock on Thursday night, which at that point in time, your preparation and pretty much everything you're trying to do for Midwestern State is already done. Mm-hmm. So it's one thing if you have a bye and you're preparing for it, knowing that you're not going to play. It's another thing, you're preparing for a game. So really had to change up a lot of what we did then on Friday and Saturday, and really even on Monday of Chowan week. Everything kind of changes for you.
I feel like this was a week that just was destined not to happen. Originally, it was Ave Maria. That drops out. You get Midwestern State in there. And then that game, Mother Nature plays tolls on that. Kind of a weird week here for week 2. Does it give you a little extra break?
Well, I think it helps with your injured guys, and we did have a couple of guys that were banged up that now we feel they're probably at about 90%, where if we would have played the game, probably at about 60 to 70, so that helps. What it doesn't do is, you just, after that first game, you didn't play the way you wanted to. We felt like we left so much out there. We felt like we were close on certain things. You just want to go out and experience that, and you just want to go out and jump right into it. Gives you a little more time to work on those things, but still, a different feel. And now we got a rally coming into this week, getting ready for Chowan, and, again, playing in front of our home crowd. A lot of things to get excited for. Just different. Strange would be the way to describe it.
Oh, no doubt. How much progress did you feel like you guys made from the end of the S&T game up through last week's practice?
Yeah, I felt great going into Thursday, and obviously trying to find a way to play the game, and was there an opportunity to do that, play someplace else? A lot of things were discussed. In the end, best thing to do was to not play and put us in the situation that we're in right now. But I really liked the progress we made last week on both sides of the ball. Felt like we shored some things up on the offensive line, and as well as with our defense. So I was excited to play Midwestern State. Obviously that opportunity is lost right now. So it's on to Chowan, and looking forward to making it happen this week.
Have you ever been through anything quite like that before?
Well, the only thing, in 9/11, I was at Azusa Pacific, mm-hmm. and we were going to fly to Montana to play a game, and that all flights obviously were tentative at that time, and we ended up canceling the game. So have had an experience with that, and really kind of learned from that as to what we did with our team on Friday and Saturday, just to kind of put us in the situation that we're in this week, getting ready for this game.
When you take a job in Florida, do you think, I might have to tangle with some hurricanes down there that could mess with the schedule a little bit?
Well, it's always in the back of your mind. There's always a thought of that. I think what's interesting for us and our staff is, and really a lot of our guys in our program, we waited 2 years to play,
right.
And then we finally get to play, and then we come out year 2, and you got to just continue to wait. So I think patience is something that we're all learning and working with.
It's going to be instilled in everybody by the time everybody's done here. Let's talk about the schedule. You touched on it a little bit, but what do you do? What do you adjust? Did guys get a little extra time early in the week, since you basically have 2 weeks to practice? You told us before we went on the air that with a bye week you can plan on it a little differently.
Right.
So do you try to kind of make it sort of a hybrid of a bye week?
Well, you do, and you got to adapt quickly. So on Friday, we actually went out and ran around. We were only on the field for about an hour, but we went out, we ran around, and really tried to get them moving a little bit, get their heart rates up, that type of thing. And then Saturday, we got in a great lift and brought them back and met, but we're able to, really work their legs a little more than you would and kind of get them in a position where it was like we were, playing about 25, 30 plays in the game. That was kind of the conditioning aspect we were looking for. And then you come back Monday and you work a little harder because you had the weekend off, and then you kind of ease into this week.
Well, let's talk about, I know playoffs may be down the road, but if you have a good year, the playoffs could be in the picture this season. We've only played one game. So does this type of thing, a game cancellation, even though it's completely out of your hands and the program's hands, does that have any effect on a potential playoff berth down the stretch?
Well, I think the only thing it does is, and fortunately, all our games are Division II games this year, so we have the minimum number that we need to meet that requirement. FIT in North Alabama last year had a game canceled. Valdosta State this year had a team cancel or had a game canceled along with us. So there's not a whole lot you can do about it. NCAA looks at that. I'm confident if we do well in the conference and we're in that position, this game won't hurt us.
Great. Well, Pete, more to talk about. We've got Chowan obviously this week. We'll discuss that when we come back a little later, all right?
Sounds good.
All right. The Argo athletic director is Dave Scott. He was part of the brains behind this whole operation, the game getting canceled. He explains what all went into that decision when we come back. This is the Coach Shinnick Show on the UWF Sports Network.
We are not here to drift. We were born to move, to change, to jump in, dive deep, make waves, break through. We were born to splash. The University of West Florida is America's best university for making a splash. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash? We will never settle for the kiddie pool. We are destined for the vast ocean of opportunities that await us. We were born to make a splash. At the University of West Florida, you can make a discovery, make a difference, make a splash. So take a deep breath and dive in. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash? The world is our ocean, and we are here to make a splash, to dive deep, to create, to develop, to break through. At the University of West Florida, there's no limit to how you can make a splash. Don't just sit on shore, jump in. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash?
Welcome back to the Coach Shinnick Show. Hurricane Irma's threat and anticipated devastation created a need for a ton of resources all over the state. Argo Athletic Director Dave Scott is here to talk about the reason for the football game being canceled this weekend. Welcome in. Dave, thanks for being here. I know we think that we're safe on the Panhandle, but a lot of the resources on the UWF campus could have very easily been needed over the weekend with all the people that were trying to seek refuge from the storm.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you saw pictures of Interstate 10 on Friday, I mean, it was just packed up bumper to bumper going into Alabama. So, and not knowing exactly what would be needed, the governor wanted to make sure all resources were available to the rest of the state. And we went through that with Hurricane Ivan, and people helped us out. So you want to be there to be able to help the rest of the Floridians prepare for what we need to do to recover.
I know you guys were still trying to get the game in on Saturday if it was possible. You were on the phone a lot Thursday night. The first news of it, with the way information travels, was actually through an alert that came from somewhere else. Take us through the next few hours as you tried to make it possible for the game to be played and the eventual decision.
Yeah, actually, it went pretty quick. I mean, because we sort of had emergency meetings on campus because we weren't really sure where the storm was coming through, and you sort of want to be prepared for that. It became more obvious that it was going east, at least at the time. They were highly confident that we would not be in the path. So our emergency calls had ceased that day. And then you're sitting there, and all of a sudden, with the impact over the whole state, the governor made a choice that, and I must say he has been a great leader for this storm and how the state has responded to the recovery, to say we need to be prepared for whatever happens. And so from about 8:30 to about 9:45, went through a series of phone calls to make sure we were doing things we needed to do appropriately. And tough call to make to the AD at Midwestern State, but obviously the right call to make sure we were there to be able to assist the rest of the state and take on those evacuees.
Talk about that, because it on the surface we have great weather here. The Saturday was a beautiful day, but in the end, this was kind of a busy place, and this had the chance for the UWF campus to really be a busy place on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you had challenges. We had a tennis team on the road, a cross-country team on the road. We pulled them back because we wasn't sure if they would have the gas or necessary supplies to get back. And you don't want your student-athletes being caught out in the middle of the storm or the evacuees trying to get to a safe place. So a lot of those decisions you think of the weather, but it's the resources to be able to get from here to there, food moving into areas that they were going to be having shelters to be able to prepare to take on those people that are be coming in for the rest of the state. So just a lot goes into that emergency situation.
Big picture, a football game seems pretty insignificant compared to all the emergency needs, and there were a lot of people. I met some people over the weekend that were here escaping the storm as well. So glad it all worked out, and great job helping to coordinate all that.
Thank you.
All right, that is Argonaut Athletic Director Dave Scott. Well, we had a chance to catch up with Mike Beaudry, our Argo quarterback. He tells us what a whirlwind it's been since becoming the first Argo to sign with the football team. Mike, probably a good feeling for you to get out on the football field a couple of weeks ago. What was that like for the first game for you in a couple of years?
Oh, it was awesome. Unbelievable feeling. Just being there with my team that I've been with since we got here 2 years now. Have my parents there, the coaches. It was just an unreal feeling, and I wouldn't want to share it with anybody else, with another team. It was great.
Talk about this week. I'm sure there's been a lot on your mind. First of all, getting ready for a football game that didn't happen, but plus the reason that didn't happen is because the hurricane was ravaging an area where you're from. What was that like, handling those emotions, worried about what everything's going on back home while still trying to stay focused on the task at hand?
Yeah, you just really, when you're on the football field, you gotta focus on football. When you're meeting, it's all about football. You gotta kind of just eliminate those other things, the outside distractions, and then off. You can talk to your family and keep that under control. And I know everyone here was having a close eye on the hurricane. They all wanted to make sure their families were okay, and the coaches were great about that. And then just having the game canceled is a bummer. You prepare all week and then not being able to play, it kind of sucks. But we got really fortunate. It's lots of the stuff that they were going to do on Saturday is going to be the same coming this week. So we've got like 2 weeks to prepare. So it's there's positives and negatives, but.
Talk about your experience at UWF. You were the first ever signee in program history. First things first, does that mean something to you? Do you think about that very often?
My dad thinks about it a lot. He always gives me that reminder. He's like, man, because coming out of high school there wasn't a lot, but this team, Coach Shinnick and the staff, they really believed in me, and that that meant the world to me. And so I always get that constant reminder, especially from my dad. He's like, hey, these are guys that believed in you and gave you that shot, and it's like, yeah, it's special to be out here. It's special to see things come together with these buildings and the field, and it's fun. It's awesome.
A lot of time has passed between that point and now. You had an injury or a season where you sat out because there wasn't a team. Then the next year you were hurt for year one of the program. What have those 2 years been like for you, and how much have you grown, do you feel like?
Just leading forward to this season where I get to play, but that first year we weren't playing anybody was. It was a different year. It's something you never, lots of people don't experience. But that was just a good growing year. And then the first season last year, for me it was tough to not be there, but to see my teammates play and see them grow, and then see them now, it's huge. And I feel like I've grown a lot. I feel like I've matured a lot in just the knowledge of the game and being out there playing, and you can see it every single day with your teammates too, with the receivers, the O-line. It's if you watch the film from that first fall, it's a huge leap to where we are now.
How much you learned from watching a season last year from the sidelines? Obviously you're hurt, but you're still watching what went on. How much do you learn from that you're able to bring into this year?
Oh, you learn a ton. You learn a ton, especially with Caleb being the quarterback. He's so knowledgeable. Like he came in with the knowledge, and he really set this team off. And so being able to sit behind someone like him and just, you know, not even worry about playing, but just watch and learn was just, I mean, valuable stuff.
Thanks so much for your time, and good luck this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Mike will lead the offense against Chowan this weekend. We'll talk about that with Coach Pete Shinnick coming up. But next, we talk volleyball with Melissa Wolter, who just claimed her 350th win as the Argos head coach. Next on the Coach Shinnick Show on the UWF Sports Network.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
Get in the way and disrupt the situation.
Notify an authority.
Or walk them home safely.
We can change the language around rape.
We can make campuses safer for our teammates, our friends, and our classmates.
We cannot be bystanders.
Taking action isn't always easy, but it's on us
to intervene.
Because we can. Learn more and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Being a champion takes more than skill, more than endless drills, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the heart to give it your all, the agility to thrive from any angle, and the relentless drive to be the best. Welcome to Division II, where the pursuit is yours to create, and the question isn't, can you do it? It's will you? We will never settle for the kiddie pool. We are destined for the vast ocean of opportunities that await us. We were born to make a splash. At the University of West Florida, you can make a discovery, make a difference, make a splash. So take a deep breath and dive in. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash?
Welcome back to the Coach Shinnick Show. We're joined now by Argonaut volleyball coach Melissa Wolter. Your team's off to a 4-4 start, but when you look at that 4-4 start, there are 4 teams in there that are ranked in the nation. So this has been a tough 4-4 start, and probably the best 4-4 start in the country.
I think we have the toughest schedule in the country for sure. We got to crack at 1, 2, and 3. So, you know, but I think playing tough early in the year is good. It can be brutal at times, but obviously, I mean, we've competed with everybody we've played against. So, you know, losing to 1, 2, and 3, those are not, in theory, bad losses for us. And I think we learned a lot. We learned a lot about the things we need to get better at. And, you know, the reality is it's a long season, so we want to make sure that we're good at the end of the season. Great starts are good, but we'd much rather have a great finish.
You guys just wrapped up out in Denver, Colorado, a very tough tournament out there, and it wrapped up with win number 350 for you in your career, so congratulations on that. Is that kind of an opportunity to reflect back on your career to this point and some of your favorite memories you've had?
Yeah, I think, you know, honestly, I had no idea until I read the write-up, and then, you know, of course, I read the write-up before we started the tournament, and then we opened up with 3 losses, and I was like, wow, this is... 350 might not happen here, but I was very happy that our team bounced back and was able to beat Tampa, which obviously that's a really a strong regional foe for us. So it was a great win, and yeah, I think it lets me look back. Honestly, it makes me. Kind of reminds me I've been here for a long time, but that's not a bad thing. I think we've built a really strong volleyball program here, a national prominent volleyball program, and yeah, I'm proud of every single one of those wins and grateful for all the student athletes that have helped us notch those.
Over your career, what stands out? I mean, what are some of the moments you've had here that really stick out in your brain?
I think, you know, probably the first year that we ever went to regionals, that was the year that I was battling breast cancer, and you know, we were able to pull off the biggest upset in Division II history that year. We were 7 and we beat the 2, and so that was pretty cool. The 6 conference championships that we've had, you know, I think each match has its own identity, but certainly the comebacks, the comeback conference championship against West Georgia in our gym, you know, so the list is long. I always say I should write a book because I'm going to forget at some point. But, you know, this season I think is going to have its own memories for us, and I'm excited about that.
Well, let's talk about this season because you knew coming in you had a lot of transfers, and this team was going to be special. So how has this team gelled with a bunch of new faces intertwined with returners? How has this team come together through the first 8 matches?
You know, I think opening weekend it presented its fair share of challenges, but honestly, this second weekend out in Colorado Premier is always tough. But at the end of the day, we're starting to see players in great positions, and we're seeing players that just need to grow as elite level Division II volleyball players. So I like what we're doing, and even when we lose, I can still see there's a lot of fight there. So we're putting the pieces of the puzzle together and finding different lineups, and I'm hoping at some point we settle in on one.
What do you expect to see this weekend? You head to the Midwest. You're going to be in Arkansas. Mm-hmm. You're going to play teams from Missouri, Kansas, Arkansas. What does that field look like for you guys?
I think it's going to be a little different than the last 2 weekends that we've played, probably more similar to opening weekend, but no nationally ranked teams. And so I think it just, the playing field will be a little bit more level than what we saw last weekend, where you're fighting for your life every set. I anticipate it being a very successful weekend for us. It's kind of been designed to do that. And it's really our first bus road trip, so this will be a lot of fun to expose our girls to something where you get on a bus and go travel and try to win matches in somebody else's gym. So we're excited.
A lot of miles on the bus. Fun is always the first thing I think of.
Yes, yes. Everybody has their own way of spinning it and keeping it enjoyable, but this is a pretty lively group, so I'm sure they'll make it fun.
Well, have fun. Good luck this weekend, and thanks as always.
Thank you so much.
All right, that is Argonaut women's volleyball coach Melissa Wolter joining us. When we come back, football coach Pete Shinnick's back with us to look ahead to Chowan. That's next on the Coach Shinnick Show on the UWF Sports Network.
Being a champion takes more than talent, more than the perfect pass, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the spirit to always push harder, the ability to overcome any hurdle, and the fire to be the best. Welcome to Division II, where the pursuit is yours to create. And the question isn't, can you do it? It's, will you?
The world is our ocean, and we are here to make a splash, to dive deep, to create, to develop, to break through. At the University of West Florida, there's no limit to how you can make a splash. Don't just sit on shore. Jump in. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash?
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
Get in the way and disrupt the situation.
Notify an authority.
Or walk them home safely.
We can change the language around rape.
We can make campuses safer for our teammates, our friends, and our classmates.
We cannot be bystanders.
Taking action isn't always easy, but it's on us
to intervene.
Because we can. Learn more and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Welcome back to the Coach Shinnick Show. You're on the UWF Sports Network. Football takes the field. We plan on this weekend against Chowan. Of course, we thought they were going to take the field last weekend. That didn't quite work out. But this week, everything seems to go to battle Chowan out of North Carolina. You played these guys last year. How much different do they look this year than they did a year ago?
Well, you know, they do a lot of things schematically similar. They've got a few new guys in place, got to replace a little bit of their offensive skill that they lost that really gave us problems last year. Defensively, you know, #1 pass rusher's back. I think leading tackler's back. You know, they gave us problems last year. Their speed and athleticism really created some issues in our running game. And we were able to throw the ball, but I think we, you know, gave up 3 or 4 sacks as well and turned the ball over a little bit. This is a great challenge for us right now, and I mean, we got to continue to get better. And obviously, not playing a game, now you're basing a lot off of what we did against Missouri S&T, and then in the 2 weeks of practice.
Do you almost feel like if they're looking at that Missouri S&T video and you guys feel like you're better than you were there, that maybe gives you some sort of a film edge?
Well, I think what it gives us is, I mean, they're going to play hard, and they do. I mean, they were, I think, in the exact same position last year as they are this year. You know, had 2 tough games, but came out and played us extremely well. Very impressed with how hard they play and how physical they are on both sides of the ball. I think what it gives us is, you know, we're obviously not going to be the same team, and you know how they view us, you know, completely up to them. But I've been impressed in, you know, we played them when we were at UNC Pembroke. They play hard. They play aggressive. I mean, kind of same team. I mean, their coach does a really good job of getting them ready. we've got to be on point to be able to get done what we want to get done this week.
The good news is this year they're making the long trip to Pensacola as opposed to us going to Murfreesboro. So that's got to give you a little bit of an edge there. You try not to look at things like that when you're planning for a game. So you look at what they did last week against Delta. They had their trouble with Delta State.
They did. Delta did a nice job running the ball, and Delta really didn't throw the ball well. No one's thrown the ball well. Matter of fact, I think they're number 2 in the country in pass defense right now, only giving up about 65 yards a game. So that'll be a task for us that, we're going to throw the ball, and we've obviously been able to throw it well in the past. We got to be able to do that. Delta ran the ball well. Delta's got probably one of the better running back tandems in the country. But it was a closer game than really the statistics show. Delta turned the ball over a couple times, and Chowan was able to take advantage of that. I think the thing that will play into them just a little bit, they do have to come here, but they had to go to Delta, so that's 2 long trips in a row, and that is tough for any team to be able to handle.
Yeah, that's a nightmare back to back on a schedule. Talk about the pressure they put on the quarterback, because it seems like they do a good job of getting to the quarterback. So what do you guys try to shake up offensively to combat that?
Well, they got 2 really good pass rushers on the edge, and then their interior guys make it difficult on you. So typically you're double teaming somebody in the middle, and you're going singled up on the outside. We got to look at different ways to attack the edge and really to be able to block the edge with these guys. But we're going to have a lot of one-on-one matchups. We didn't fare well last year in that they had 3 crucial sacks. I mean, our last drive, just rewatching it, we came out and we had the ball in good field position. We got an 8-yard gain and then gave them an 8-yard sack. And obviously 3rd and 2 is a little bit different than 3rd and 10. So they do a really good job. We got to be sound, make them work for everything that they get.
Talk about their offense. How do you combat their running attack? They obviously ran the ball really well. Lee is gone this year, but they've got a new back that seems like he's off to a good start, averaging a little over 5 yards a carry. How do you slow that down?
Well, we've got to be gap sound, and again, preparing for Midwestern State, I think we spent all week trying to do that. The one thing that this running back does, very similar to Lee a year ago, just runs hard, just continues to churn, continue to move, very strong runner. I liked what we were able to get done last week in preparing for Midwestern State, because they're obviously, I think, the #1 rushing team in the country after one game. We felt like we had to be gap sound, and that'll play well for us this week if we can continue the success that we had in practice, getting that fixed.
So a lot of that preparation carries over to this week. That works out great.
It does.
Well, good luck, Coach. Certainly look forward to seeing you guys at home this weekend at Blue Wahoo Stadium. Should be fun.
No, looking forward to it.
All right, thanks. That is head coach Pete Shinnick. That wraps us up for today. Football is the only team at home this weekend. Game time is set for 6 o'clock. Of course, you can listen to that game on Choice 106.9 FM, WRNE 980 AM. You can watch it on Blab TV as well. Pre-game for both set for 5:30 along the UWF Sports Network. For head coach Pete Shinnick, Melissa Wolter, and Dave Scott, I'm Tommy Thrall. Thanks for watching this week on the UWF Sports Network.